Good evening, I'm Sam Dick.
And I'm Amber Philpott. Thousands of Kentucky families are hurting tonight from the pain of addiction.
It's a struggle that does not discriminate, often hidden by shame and guilt. Tonight, we will shine a light on the drug epidemic.
Over the next hour, we will share stories of struggle, stories of heartache, stories of recovery, and stories of hope. If you or a loved one needs help, please take the first step towards healing tonight. At the bottom of your screen is a number that you can call for help.
Stay with us for Addiction in the Bluegrass, a WKYT community conversation.
Addiction is a powerful enemy.
People lost hope, and unfortunately, we did see a rise in death.
We're hearing those stories over and over again of how the pandemic and the stressors of the pandemic increased the relapse rates.
We've got an overdose in Rockcastle. We've got an overdose in Clay County, Laurel County, wherever it's at.
We have always known the reason why people use drugs, and this was a perfect storm.
But I was a little shocked personally to see that they were up 50% over the same time period of last year.
It's very concerning. I mean, these are people I know and love.
The pain pill issue got better, but then the methamphetamine issue is now rampant.
Get out in your car or walk through town, because if you're sitting on your couch, you don't see what's going out here in reality society.
Almost 2,000 people died of overdoses in 2020, according to the Kentucky Office of Drug Control Policy. That's 49% more than in 2019.
That's 2,000 families, and that number just keeps getting bigger because people love those people. Even though they have an addiction and they have a habit they can't overcome, it's like the devil's got a grip on them.
This is the real pandemic that's facing Kentucky.
I knew where there was a firearm, and I was contemplating whether to go get it and take my life. And I don't know, something in me said, see if you can get help.
When you're caught up in addiction, many will have a moment of clarity.
You can't do it on your own.
The different types of substances may change, but the disease remains the same.
I've never had support. I never reached out. I didn't trust women.
We're not bad people. We are sick people trying to get well.
These are people who, they don't belong in a jail cell, they belong behind a desk somewhere, or in a factory somewhere, They can give back. We just need to help them. We need to give them the tools to beat addiction.
Last year, more than 93,000 Americans died from drug overdoses. That is the most overdose deaths ever in a year. In Kentucky, 1,964 people died in 2020 from overdoses. The year before, there were just more than 1,300. That is a 49% increase. The most overdose deaths were in people ages 35 to 44 at 570. People 25 to 34 were next at 463, followed by ages 45 to 54 at 405. No county is untouched by the drug epidemic. The darker the red, the more deaths reported. The most overdose deaths last year were in Lexington and Louisville. Jefferson County had the most at 512. Fayette was next at 150. Now, Knott County had the highest rate of overdose deaths last year, 122 per 100,000 people, followed then by Clark at 104, Bourbon at 98, Henry at 88, and Carter at 83. Sam, only 6 counties in the entire state did not record an overdose death in 2020.
Amber, thank you. September is National Recovery Month. Never before has there been as many resources for people suffering from addiction. Addiction Recovery Care, or ARC, operates the state's largest recovery networks with more than 38 treatment centers across eastern and central Kentucky. ARC recently opened the state's largest and most comprehensive treatment center in Washington County at the site of the former St. Catherine College. The organization has helped thousands of people get clean, stay sober, find a job, and maybe most important, learn how to help others recover from addiction.
I was working in the mines, took my first pain pill, and then lost your road after that.
progressively worse and worse. You know, every day was worse than the last. I was just looking for a way out.
I remember the first time I ever did heroin. I remember looking up at the mirror in front of me and audibly saying out of my mouth, I want to feel like this for the rest of my life.
I did not know who I was. I lost every bit of my identity to drugs.
There's so many times in my life that the barriers that I faced to getting employment or education absolutely made me make a choice to relapse.
Kentucky may be ground zero of the national epidemic crisis, but we are also, I'm proud to say, ground zero of the national solutions.
And when I first started, you didn't really have much of recovery options. It's affected a lot of families, and I think that instead of trying to hide from it, they're wanting to come out and try to take it on so they can help get these people better and get them back involved in society and their families.
The 52-acre campus used to be St. Catherine College before the private school closed back in 2016. Now it's home to what officials believe is the largest facility of its kind in the country.
Art's helped me get my GED, college education. Like I have so many options now. I'm not just clean and sober.
One of my mottos for life, you know, life doesn't get easier, we just get stronger.
And if I can get better, anybody can get better. And today I have a job and a home, and I have my kids, and they're here, and they're healthy, and they're mine. But at the end of the day, and that stuff's amazing. But I have freedom today from the bondage of addiction.
It gave me the confidence, that I needed. Come in not even a year sober, and I've been able to accomplish all these things. It's just, it's a confidence builder for real. It shows me that I can do things.
Today, that my whole life feels like a different person. It doesn't even feel like it was me.
We are joined now by Matt Brown. He's the Senior Vice President for Addiction Recovery Care.
Matt, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It is so powerful when you hear those stories. You hear their struggles, but you also hear their hopes in coming through recovery. This is a really personal mission. Tell me about your all's mission and what you all do.
So at Addiction Recovery Care, we have over 30 programs across 20 Kentucky counties. We're as far north as Kenton County, we're as far south as Harlan County, and we have a strong concentration of programs in northeast Kentucky. And our mission statement is to provide opportunities for people to discover hope and live their God-given destiny. Our goal is to provide the addiction treatment and the wraparound services that someone needs to have a successful life in recovery.
Matt, as you know, Kentucky has a lot of health issues in general, but why is it with drug addiction, what we're seeing now, we've seen for a number of years, why does it happen in Kentucky?
So Kentucky's had a long-standing problem with addiction. And I think in the late 90s and the early 2000s, the Oxycontin epidemic threw gasoline on a fire that was already burning. And what we have seen over the last 20 years is generations of Kentuckians suffering from addiction. And then last year during COVID, the isolation, the economic uncertainty, all of the different factors that COVID brought us, unfortunately, created a perfect or an imperfect storm of overdoses and relapses.
Let's talk about that because we're still in the middle of this pandemic. How did it impact the services that you guys provide? And also, did you see an uptick in the need for services?
So thankfully, we've been able to provide all of our addiction treatment services throughout the entire pandemic. We've been saying that we're treating an epidemic inside of a pandemic. And during this time, early on in the pandemic, there was a decrease in people seeking treatment. I believe that's because of jails the criminal justice system wasn't as active, rightfully so. And also people were just scared of maybe a residential living environment. But what we're seeing now is an increase in that need.
This is personal for you. Tell us about that.
So I suffered from addiction for 18 years. I was a licensed physical therapist, barely functioning at times, and I crashed my life in 2014 and went to treatment at Addiction Recovery Care. I took advantage of some of their employment opportunities at the end of my 1-year residential stay, and I'm still with the company today.
What's it like for you to be able to see those folks that we just shared their testimonials and now to be able to do that work day in and day out?
It's so important and so special because I remember the days when I couldn't find help for my addiction. I didn't know where to go. My parents didn't know what to do. And now I see the folks that we had on camera earlier. I see them every week during my work, and I'm seeing them live a life of happiness and a life of recovery.
in a few seconds, which I know is not easy, what would you say to somebody out there who's listening right now on the edge of maybe saying, I need to get into recovery?
So your new life could literally start today. What could feel like the worst time in your life could eventually look like the best time.
Matt Brown, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. For many women, learning they are pregnant is the push that they need to seek help. We're going to take you to a treatment center designed for new mothers. And a reminder, we have information for those that want help right now on WKYT.com.